you can't slow down your desires because life is going to continue to cause you to come to your new conclusions, and you can't help that. Good luck trying to stop your desires, because literally the whole entire universe is built for this expansion of you, the greater version of you. You can't help but expand, and you got to go catch up with that expansion. You got to become one with that expansion, because that's what happiness is all about. You see, if you're not catching up with who you are, that's the reason why you feel negative emotion. You know, when you can express that, hey, I want this more money, I want to write this book, I want to sing this song, by the time a desire is clearly defined in your mind, so much has already happened. Because by the time you can clearly state it in your mind, momentum has already been parlayed. What you want is already 99% completed vibrationally, even before you see any physical evidence of it. And why that is so important is because your desires are vibration completed. So if something is completed, then would you still try to create it, or do you understand that the creation has already happened? When you launch the rocket, when life causes you to want more money, the more money is then created. The avenues, the pathways, everything that is required for that money to be delivered to your hand, to your pocket, is already configured. It's already created. And so all you have to do is just tune into that momentum. And that momentum is really easy to tune into, because all you have to do is just not do the thing that doesn't allow you to be in that momentum. And do you know what that thing is that doesn't allow you to? Is you defend why you are where you are. You talk about why you can't have it. You basically talk about why you're still where you are. You get defensive. You want to defend yourself. You want to explain why you're there. You want to explain to someone. You want to be understood. You care about what others think. There are many things that sort of allow you to get away from your own guidance system. So you don't really care too much about how you feel. You care more about talking about reality. But we want you to talk a little bit less about reality, because the reality that you're looking at is truly old news. That's a reality that you no longer have to think about anymore or focus on, because it's already complete. So you want to talk about the real reality, which is your vibrational reality. You see, there's so much more than you can see with your eye that is going on in this sort of physical world. There's a whole vibrational world that you can only feel, that you can only perceive with your emotional sensors. And so you are the vibrational perceivers. You're perceiving sound, you're perceiving light. Everything that you're perceiving is because of your ability to perceive it. It's your perception, it's your reality. And so when it comes to creating reality, you have to understand that everything that you want, because you're source energy, and because source energy is still with you here, and source energy is your second point of attraction while you are the first standing here in your physical self, you have everything that you want already given to you. Everything that life has caused you to want, you have already vibrationally become up to this point. And of course, you're going to want new things. But right now, we want to help you get up to speed with your expansion. So how do you know you're up to speed with your desire? Any desire that you want, that you're wanting, any desire that life is causing you to become, want it, desire it. Because once you desire it, it already is a reality. And the more you talk about why you want it, the more you talk about what exactly you want, and not for the sake of making it happen, but for that sake of making sure that that's your most practiced vibration, right? So you're not being lazy, you're focusing on that subject. You're being maybe diligent about it. You're just being very you're being very picky. Ooh, that's the best word. You're being very picky because you care about how you feel. So you're saying, I want to think about this. When I think about this subject, I want to think about this. So at first, it's a little wonky. At first, that opinion, that perspective, that frequency that you decide, there's a little static because you're used to talking about the absence. So when you talk about the presence of what you want, it's a little staticky, but then it gets more clear, you can get more practice at it, until that's just how you think about that subject most of the time. And that's what you're getting most of the times. You see, everything that you want is already 99% completed. And so what you can do, if you want to see the manifestations, is you can't talk about what you can't see, because you stand where you are and you say, I can't see what I want. I can't see it. I have never seen it. Why can't I see it? And we say, that's why, because you keep talking about everything that's not your desire. You keep talking about the fact that it's not here. You talk about the absence more than the presence, and the absence is so much more visible to your eye. And that's what we're saying. This vortex you have to feel your way into, and that's really what you're wanting. You're really wanting the journey to your desire, because if you had to only wait for the manifestation in order to be happy, then you'd be waiting for your entire lifetime. You couldn't have been eternal then. And ultimately, you are eternal. And so the journey is more important. And what we mean by the journey is this. You see, when life causes, imagine like you look at your bank account right now, or imagine you want to buy something and boom, that rocket is launched. I want all my money. And usually if you're like most people, you're going to kill a desire right away. You're going to talk about why that's not possible. Like, oh, I don't know where I'm going to get my money from. I don't know, where it's going to come from. I haven't seen money in a long time. And so you talk yourself out of your desire. And that's what most people are doing. And so now that you watch this video, you understand, okay, so I'm going to catch myself when I'm doing that. And I'm going to catch it early before the momentum gets too big. And then I'm going to talk in the direction of what I want. So I'm going to talk about, okay, well, I can't have the money because it already does vibrationally exist. And what does it feel like? So you're not reaching for the emotion well, you're reaching for the emotion. You're not reaching for you're not reaching for the physical version. That's what we're trying to say. You're not reaching for the physical version. You're reaching for the emotion. You're reaching for how it feels instead of trying to see with your eye right now. Because that's the thing is, you're so obsessed with the manifestation. You want to see everything with your eye. And so since you can't see with your eye right now, you're dissatisfied with where you stand right now. And that's how you slow everything down. You become dissatisfied with where you stand. And what you want is a vibrational reality. It's being held for you in this vibrational reality. And you know that because every time you think about the absence of your desire, you feel negative emotion. And your emotion is the most important thing in the world because that's your GPS system. And a negative emotion means, or it shows you the amount of momentum that is the power of your desire, the amount of momentum, the force of momentum that's been sort of accumulated on that desire and how much of it that you're letting in. So if you're feeling a lot of negative emotion, that means that this desire has amassed so much momentum, source energy momentum, and you're not allowing it. And so it doesn't feel good. So, right. So you feel the absence of the dollars in that example. And what we're saying is you don't need the physical manifestation right now in order to feel better, right? Where you stand right now, because where you stand right now is not feeling very good about the dollars. Because if you did feel good about it, then it would come. But since it's not coming, that means you're feeling more dissatisfied with where you stand because you can't see it, because you're realistic, because you're more used to being a physical creature. So what we're saying is what you really want is the emotion. That's the most important manifestation, because right now you're probably not going to get the money, and maybe in time you will, because you're going to get more used to being vibrational and you're going to practice the frequency even more so that money doesn't seem like so scary to you. It just feels normal because you already have so many pieces of it lying around everywhere in your vibration. And the more you focus on it, the more that vibration gets stronger, and the more you sort of believe, and the more that you sort of doubt less. You get out ahead of it. So you practice it when it's easy, so that when you're in those moments of contrast, you don't react as much. You catch your balance faster because you already practiced believing earlier when it was easier. And now that it's a little harder, you still have that. You have the out aheadness. You had that moment. You have that momentum that you practiced before you walked into the room, so to speak. So when something is a vibrational reality, it means that you can only feel it. You can only feel this vibrational reality, and you're like, that's not enough. That's not enough. And we're saying, well, you're right. It's not enough for you because you want to see it. But what's really important is that you don't need to see it right now in order to be satisfied. You can be satisfied with the idea. You can be satisfied with the vision. You can be satisfied. And you know what? You have to be satisfied with the vibrational version. You have to be satisfied with the feeling, the positive emotion, the happy heart, because you're probably not going to manifest it right now, because you're not just going to, bounce on a dime like that. You're not going to turn around things that quick because you're not that practiced, and you will get practice in time. But for now, what you really have to manage for and what you have to reach for is a happy heart, is to feel good. And you can have that all the time, is to reach for that satisfaction. You have to find satisfaction with the vibrational version of your desire, which means you can't see it right now. But the thing is, if you can't see it right now, and that really doesn't feel good, because as far as you're concerned, it's absent, because you're not considering this vibrational world, then your desire is not something that you can experience, because right now you're literally steadily practicing a belief that is literally blocking your ability to see this desire, which is the only reason why you're not experiencing what you want. You see, if you wanted something and that something didn't really contradict a lot of the beliefs that you had, or it didn't challenge, that's a better way to say, if you didn't challenge the beliefs, so it was something relatively small, then that's something that you actually experience relatively quick, because you're not talking about the absence of it. You're satisfied with the version of it that you have in your mind. You're satisfied with the anticipation of it, the emotion of it, right? And that's a really important piece, because it really does determine how fast your desires come, how satisfied you can feel in the moment. The fastest way to get to where you want to go is to feel satisfied with where you are right now. And that's what we're saying. You have to be satisfied with the vibrational version. You have to be satisfied with the fact that you can't see it, but you will see it, that your desire is in the state of becoming, but has already become vibrationally. And that is the most important part, because you can feel the security of the vibrational version. You can trust the vortex because it does exist. And so you can sort of like count your blessings, and you can plan for things because it is a done deal. By the time it's in the vortex, by the time it's in your mind and you're like, I want this thing for sure, it's already in the vortex. It's already, accumulating to the point where the momentum has already gone to the point you're already in the receiving mode to receive the clear desire. So that means it's definitely in the vortex. And the best of all is you have a negative emotion that will literally tell you when you're not in alignment with your desire and the power of it. So the more negative you feel, the more you have to go with that desire, because that desire, it will suck the life force out of you. And so the life force being sucked is really more about you deciding not to go with your inner being, because once your inner being becomes something, you have to become it too, because that's what happiness is all about. And so that's what we're saying. You want to vie for the happy heart, because once you have the happy heart, then you have everything. You have the satisfaction in the moment, because now you're not looking for something. Now you're satisfied. And quite frankly, you have no choice. You don't have a choice, because if your desire is absent right now, and you're not willing to be vibrational, and you're not willing to be satisfied with knowing that one day you will see it. And what are you satisfied about? You're satisfied about the fact that you can feel it. You're satisfied about the fact that you feel the security of the dollars before it even comes. And that really is the biggest manifestation of all, because the reason why you can't be satisfied is because, well, many of our friends would say, but I don't have it right now. So how can I be satisfied? And we say, well, you can be satisfied with the version of it that you can feel for. You can feel for the security of it. You can feel for it emotionally. You can see it emotionally. There's an emotional version. There's a vibrational version that you can tune into now, that you can perceive. Granted, it is subtle, and you do have to tune yourself to this frequency, but you can do it. And it's not hard. It's actually really easy. But at first it's a little wonky because you're used to just looking at a reality, sitting back, and cataloging what you're seeing in front of your eyes. So when we talk about a vibrational reality, you're like, that's very different than what I'm used to. But we're saying it's not possible. You can get very good at this vibrational reality to a point where you're leveraging this vibrational reality more than most people are. You see, most people are not leveraging their vibrational reality. They're seeing what they want as absent. And we know why, because when you don't see what you want here right now, then you can't feel good. But what we're saying is, the true mastery of creation is being able to feel the emotion even before the desire comes. It's like wanting to write a best-selling book, but feeling the feeling of writing the best-selling book before the book is even anywhere close to being written. That's power. Because now when law of attraction shines its light on you, law of attraction is going to say, hey, this person has a whole best-selling book. And so here comes the outline, here comes everything. And the writing is so smooth because you've already written a perfect book in your vibrational reality. There's already, through life, you have created this vibrational reality, and there is a book that is perfect for you right now. It's not going to be the most perfect book ever because you're eternal. Being an eternal being means that there's always going to be another book to write, so to speak, and you can apply that to anything that you want. There is the book that's perfect for you right now where you stand, and that's what you want to reach for, because you don't need to ask anymore. That's the thing, is you don't need to ask anymore. You need to line up with your desires, and the way to line up with your desires is to find satisfaction, because we know it's hard. We know because you can't see your desire, so it's easy to be like, it's absent and feel the feeling of the absence. But we're saying that feeling, you can change it. Oh, we're saying you can't change your reality, but you can change that feeling of the absence. The negative emotion when you feel when the absence sort of drops into your awareness, right? That when you're vibrating that vibration, and so let's say better, you focus on that, the absence of what you want, and because you're focusing on something that's in opposition to how your inner being is seeing it, you're choosing a perspective that's different to how your inner being is seeing it, then you feel negative emotion. And we're saying is the fact that you have your desire, that you don't have what you want and it's bothering you, is not because you don't have it. It's because right now you're not being who you really are. So we're saying you have to bridge the gap. You have to bridge that little gap. You have to fill it, but the gap is not filled with the manifestation. It's not, because then everyone would be stuck and there would be no eternity. The gap is truly filled with the emotion, which is feeling satisfied with the version of it that you do have, and not being dissatisfied because you can't see it. You see, being dissatisfied with the fact that you can't see your desire means that you're not going to see it. But the more you can lean towards satisfaction, which is the greatest feeling of all. Satisfaction means that you have something that you want clearly defined, and you're moving in the direction of it. So it goes like this: I'm satisfied with the fact that I can feel it, and because I can feel it, I know that I'm gonna see it, because it has already vibrationally become, and I know the power of the vortex. I know the truth of the vortex. I've manifested small things. I've manifested things, so I know that I can deliberately apply myself. I can launch these rockets and line up with them. I can offer a vibration deliberately and get what I want in return. I can do it. So the vortex is real. And so I'm going to relax in this moment instead of trying to look and hunt and try to do process after process from a place of dissatisfaction with where I stand. I'm going to just do the emotional work. I'm going to feel as good as I can. I'm going to feel as satisfied as I can. And satisfaction really is what everyone is reaching for. To find satisfaction is truly bliss. Because once you find satisfaction, then you know what happens? You are in the right place in the right time. But you see, when you see your desires as absent, when you stand here and you say, no, it's absent, I can't see it, and you're more practiced at seeing it as absent, then that's the desire that you're not going to experience. Because, and it's not because the universe is like sort of judging you, and it's like, well, if you see it as absent, then screw you. Not like that at all. It's just that you keep missing the rendezvous point. You keep missing the next impulse and the next, and because you're off in a different frequency. And that sort of thing is that you're missing the clues, you're missing the cues from your inner being. But now you don't have to, because the more you're in the receiving mode of your pure desire, meaning you're talking about the fact of what you do have. Oh, you gotta talk about the pieces that you do have, and there's no desire that you have that you don't have many pieces of already. The essence, the feeling, the emotion. The emotion is really what you're wanting, and the more you can highlight how good you feel, even though your desire is in here, then it just makes sense that it has to come. That's what we're saying. It has to come. This is the easiest way to manifest everything that you want. You see, when you're trying to write a best-selling book, you could apply yourself, or you could realize that the book is already written and done for you in the vortex, and all you have to do is just figure out how to receive it. And receiving it, you can write that book in literally 3 days if you're in the vortex, or you could take 10 years to write it and still not even be guaranteed. But once it's coming from the vortex, you just know, because you know how you felt before the impulse came. And once those impulses come, they yield you results that no action could ever net you. And that truly is the power of your vortex. You're all powerful creators, and we wish for you the most to feel more satisfied with where you stand, because you can feel for your desire, and feeling for your desire is very powerful because you're beginning to translate it. So feel for your desire, talk more about wanting it, and focus less on looking out through your physical senses and seeing it in a reality that doesn't have your desire yet. What you want is always given to you in the vibrational form, and you can find satisfaction in the vibrational form because you are vibrational, not because you have to, because you don't have a choice. Quite frankly, you don't have a choice, but you can feel satisfied because you can feel good, even though what you want isn't here, because you can feel for it. And in feeling for it, you vibrate with the presence of your desire. And you know who else is vibrating with the presence of your desire? Your inner being. So that's what that connection is. It feels like oneness. It feels like wholeness. It feels like being one whole being. It feels like movement. It feels delicious. It feels easy. It feels like flow. It feels like confidence and sureness and sure-footedness and just knowing what to do next. And it feels nice. It feels pensive. It feels easy. It feels bright and soft and gentle. And best of all, it feels thrilling and so satisfying.